Councilmember Carnevale.
Present.
Councilmember Lamb. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory. Mayor Ross.
I am here, thank you. Are there any changes to the study session agenda? I can't see you. I need to get up taller. Get my big girl pants on here. Mr. City Attorney, will you please read the closed session? Oh, I'm sorry. We're doing the statement of participation. I bounced right over it.
So public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you're a member of the public and you wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the city clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials or other items to present to the members of the City Council, please do not approach them. All materials shall be presented to the city clerk for distribution. I do not have any request to speak forms for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, let's try this again.
Okay, we do have a couple items on today's closed session. First, we have a conference with legal counsel with regard to 3 items of anticipated litigations. These are all claims for damages. You also have a conference with legal counsel with regard to 1 item of existing litigation. That is the Gorosave Torres case. The rest of the information is printed on the agenda. You also have a conference with your labor negotiators with regard to the designated bargaining group listed in the agenda. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we will now recess to closed session, please. We'll see you all in a bit.
the good stuff. Good, you're going to make it through. Mayor, I'd be happy to report out. We did address all three of the closed session items. You heard a report from special counsel on both items 1 and items 2. Those were claims for damages and one lawsuit. You gave direction. There was no other reportable action. And
The first is a Code Compliance Division updates. Mr. City Manager?
Actually, the first is the Community Amphitheater Marketing Update, if it's all right. Mayor, we'll stick with that one.
Have I gone over it? You flipped it?
Okay.
No, that's not how it is here. Okay.
All right. One of your goals in the strategic plan was to develop a marketing plan for the Community Amphitheater. Ryan Hunt is here tonight to discuss that with you. Ryan.
Council, it's good to be with you, going over the amphitheater and some marketing updates that we have. You all were actually part of our most recent milestone of having a headline performance in the Balloon Festival, so we'll go over some of that and some of the ways that we're trying to market this venue. So the city manager touched on this, but I wanted to go over right off the bat some strategic planning goals that we have. Action F2, which is to promote additional community events and celebrations. That one you've seen from me a lot, but this was a specific action in the strategic plan, was develop and implement a marketing plan to promote and raise awareness of available city venues, including the Community Amphitheater. Part of that process, before we kind of get into it a little bit, I'll get into the background, which I think you all are very familiar with, about how the amphitheater came about. But a huge part of the process through you all as a council in approving some of our new SUP procedures and making sure that we have recovered costs for venues that are able to be rented, Avenida Lalo Guerrero, Festival Lawn, things that were just free, that really didn't protect us if there was an event that utilized those spaces. So that was really kind of what I would consider step one of getting us into the new era of the amphitheater. But the Cathedral City, you all as a council have been actively supporting revitalization and authorizing that in downtown and doing arts and entertainment district. We've got too many to count, but a ton of great venues that are here in downtown. Mary Pickford Theater. We've got all of the restaurants that are doing really well with activity. We've got the amphitheater, obviously our Civic Center building. We've got Agua Caliente Casino, which is just a little further down in downtown Cathedral City. So to further enhance the downtown, the city dedicated vacant land next to the Civic Center, which is the Community Amphitheater, open to the public in 2021, which is really more just for a few signature festivals. There wasn't that much event activity. I would say the origin of the event activity really ramping up was probably about 2022. And so I'll go kind of where we are and how we've kind of increased activity there. Where it's located, right next to adjacent to the downtown parking structure. But Communications and Events has put together a marketing plan and strategy to continue raising awareness and attract new events to the venue. So I wanted to touch on a couple of milestones related to marketing efforts. The venue's rise in popularity has been recognized through its selection as a top 3 finalist of the Desert Suns Community Choice Awards for its best event venue in the Coachella Valley category. And this was not just small venues or community parks, or this was Acrisure Arena, this was the show in Rancho Mirage. So really appreciated that we got the votes to be able to support that. We'll find out soon at a dinner that hopefully you all will be invited to see if we won. But I think getting in the top 3 and getting our name out there was definitely strategic, part of some of the marketing strategies that we put into place. Really, the biggest issue that I think I've discovered about this venue is its community awareness and regional awareness. So getting this to the right people and making sure that we have more of the Coachella Valley recognition, then hopefully we can continue to expand out into areas like LA, San Diego, and continue. We've come close on a few of those, but I'm still hopeful we can continue to generate some more corporate events in the amphitheater, which I'll highlight here shortly. New events, both city-sponsored and from third-party applicants, thanks to you all as a council, are on the rise. This includes the success of the inaugural season of Tastes and Sounds of Cathedral City. I think I've shared this with you before, but the number one thing I heard about that event as people were leaving is, I had no idea this amphitheater was here. What a great crown jewel for this community. And we had people from Indio, from La Quinta, from Rancho Mirage, so it wasn't, even though I'd say the majority was local Cathedral City residents looking for free activities, there was a Coachella Valley interest, and I think word of mouth is continuing to be very successful there. And we're getting a leg up on marketing. We have a lot of exciting acts that are booked for the next series that I'll hopefully be sharing with you in our spring preview and fall recap here. I think it's in the January meeting. So a significant milestone was achieved with the venue's first headliner concert inside the amphitheater, which you all attended and were graciously supportive of through your investment in this festival. And so we're really, really excited to be able to commemorate and talk about the Emily West and Leanne Rimes concert for the 10th annual Cathedral City International Hot Air Balloon Festival. The first time we've really had that kind of act with the AV equipment needed for that. And I think just, talking to the tour manager, the high marks that we had from a staff standpoint, working with us internally, I think sometimes when you come into a city government environment, you're not really sure are these guys up to it and can pull this off. And the compliments that we got from the tour manager, I'll send it to you all. It was a really, really nice note that we received just about how professional and everything seemed to be above board. So I think I take that as a compliment. And Adam Chastain, who's come on board as the events and recreation coordinator, has really, really elevated our ability to achieve these type of events as well. So just kind of wanted to go over a few things just to recap. This is the thank you that will appear in the Desert Sun and will be a part of the event, recognizing that we were top 3 finalists for Best Event Venue for the Community Choice Awards in the Desert Sun. And then I wanted to play the promo piece as we partner with artists like this. Not saying we're going to do one of these every single year. I know it's an expensive endeavor, but bringing a Leanne Rimes and these type of acts that we can continue to elevate Cathedral City. You also partner with them and have their resources available to you. So their promotional machine to really be able to get Cathedral City branding out there. This is an ad that played on mostly social media and digital, but they provided as a TV spot that really I thought gave Cathedral City some nice branding to promote the festival and the event.
A legendary artist celebrating 25 years of music. Leanne Rimes, one iconic voice, one unforgettable night. Saturday, November 23rd at Cathedral City Hot Air Balloon Festival. Leanne Rimes. Tickets on sale now at discovercathedralcity.com. Don't miss Leanne Rimes live.
So be able to have that branding, it's just cool to see Cathedral City mentioned in one of our signature festivals, but obviously that's not something through assets and licensing and merchandise that I can create on my own. So to have that backing as part of these type of events, I think is really, really good to help elevate not just the amphitheater, but Cathedral City as well. And this was just a little stroll down memory lane, but a Blue Christmas portion of that for everybody who wasn't able to make it or wanted to relive the memory.
That's when those blue memories are calling. You'll be doing alright with your Christmas away.
Yeah, it's quite a voice. Really, I would like to know what it's like to sing like that for one day. That was pretty cool. But really great photos you can see. I mean, that was the goal, right? To have activity in downtown. I mean, to see the benefit of the amphitheater, rollicking like this, to see Luchador. I mean, obviously the balloon glow had a lot to do with that as well. But to see that synergy, I mean, Luchador's packed out. I think the Roost did their own little concert on the concrete steps, elevated. I mean, everybody's kind of getting in on the fun, whether it's official or not. They're kind of taking these festivals now and I think doing their own special specials through discounts and purchases. I mean, that's why we do a lot of this too, right, is to create the foot traffic to get back to our small businesses and our restaurants too. So really wanted to just commemorate that as a big milestone for the venue. And hopefully this word of mouth, like I said, when these acts do work in these venues and we get reference checked, they go, how was it working in Cathedral City at that amphitheater? They go, it was a great experience, you'll get taken care of, yada, yada. So I think that's going to really help. But some of the marketing initiatives that I wanted to go over that are detailed to the strategic plan, which is the big part of that was the converted SUP process. I talked a little bit about that with utilizing more venues for applications, but really the biggest part of that too is also to be able to move it all online to our citizen portal. So we just did our very first one. Went really, really well. Cindy Hansen and Matthew in our IT, want to give them huge kudos for helping us make that turnaround and that the conversion to the online portal to get out of the paperwork and have all of that to be able to be clicked. And then really it protects us too from a cost standpoint because, let's say there's an event that does come to you all for council approval. All of those dots have to be, everything has to be checked and vetted before it even gets to you all, which I think will come in. Sometimes, can you pay for the SUP, that they hadn't paid for? Can you reward us that when they hadn't actually paid up front? Now it's mandated. You will have to pay this in order to get, if you also choose, reimbursed for the little things like that I think will help clean up our process. Getting certificate of insurance in advance. Now we can put those dates that we really need to get these things 30 to 60 days in advance. And so it allows us to keep the checks and balances a lot more. I think it'll be efficient for everybody involved. We've been launching targeted social media campaigns. The Desert Sun was obviously one of those to try to get the votes. We've done that across multiple platforms, including our new TikTok channel. Revamped the design of the Discover Digest weekly newsletter with a strong emphasis on amphitheater events. I think when I inherited it, it would cut off at a certain point. Now we've tried to promote and highlight a little bit more of all the activities that are there and to be able to have more of a featured look of the amphitheater and what that has to offer. We also created a dedicated section at cathedralcityamp.com with our updated rental guide. We went through there. It was really dated. We needed to clean that up. Updated booking information. So I feel really good about where that's headed. You can see the calendar now. When you go to book the venue, it's all should be loaded in there to be able to know if you can pick that date or not. Community outreach, establish partnerships with local businesses and cultural organizations, and also city governments. I think being able to find that partnership with City of Rancho Mirage. We took advantage of an opportunity where their amphitheater was out of commission for the year. They were going through refurbishments, and so I talked to Cape Cotting, my counterpart over there, the PIO, who I had a good relationship with, and I said, well, frankly, Rancho Mirage has been benefiting from the Balloon Festival for quite some time, but we joking aside, he really wanted to make that partnership work and thought it was long overdue, and so finding ways to elevate our amphitheater. They brought an influencer out to the Leanne Rimes concert, had millions of followers, and so being able to we worked with them to get our hashtags and general messaging in there, and so that really helps elevate, again, creating word of mouth, not just within the Valley, but people who have LA, San Diego, deeper followings that could maybe attract bigger events. So developed cross-promotional opportunities with regional events, making sure we have rack cards or information cards that are at events, even if they're not ours. Initiated the Taste and Sound Series, which I mentioned. That's a great one to highlight both local performers and local food vendors. We hope to be at 100% Cathedral City restaurants or vendors represented this year. That's a goal. Hopefully we can get there. We were close last year, about 75%. Event programming, really just showcasing this as a diverse venue. So, we had the League of Cities dinner there. We've had volunteer appreciation events. I think we could even be a great space for like TED Talk type of informational interest sessions, speaking events, cultural festivals, theater productions. We're currently talking to Palm Springs Unified School District to maybe bring an all-day theater festival to the amphitheater. So a mixture of community and commercial, but I really want to showcase how many different types of events can be done in this venue so people know its diversity as a unique destination, and I think that'll continue to help us. Educational workshops, we've experimented experimented with that as well. We did one with Code about kind of the food vendor process, and we'll continue to explore opportunities. We've used it for internal communications and engagement, our employee appreciation lunch, which we just hosted there, and we had it there last year as well. So finding ways that it can be utilized not just externally, but internally as well. So amphitheater events by the year, so you can see in 2022, the increase from 2023. But what is this really about, I think, for the amphitheater and kind of its repeated use is these weekly kind of series events that are not an extreme expenditure, like Taste and Sounds, for example, where we took a festival and allocated that funding to this new event. That's 8 weeks of programming that we're getting in that amphitheater. So, and then yoga is another great example. Low cost, great attendance. Antonio Bayshut does a great job as our coordinator of that particular event. But that's 10 weeks of programming that people are able to see the amphitheater. And what was kind of cool, Tuesdays became kind of yoga in the morning, Taste and Sounds in the evening. And so we saw repeated audience based on that as well. But, we're up to about 20 calendar weeks of usage out of 52. So we're getting there. And I think when we started, like I said, in 2022 to where we are now, it's about a 71% increase in events. And I know we already have, Adam's been working hard to secure SUPs for 2025 and beyond. So we're definitely seeing more interest from an application standpoint, from an awareness standpoint. It's a living document. It's a living process. We're going to tweak it as we go along. There's no perfect way to continue to market. You have to adapt to the climate and the changes that come about. But we're really, really excited about the increase in volume and activities in the amphitheater. So future recommendations, just things that are still goals as part of our marketing strategy, continuing to expand our digital marketing presence. Social media is just continues to be a huge source of where people are getting their news, their information, where they're finding out about events. Develop additional community partnerships, and I think we really would like to, for Taste and Sounds this year, to maybe have a nonprofit showcased each week that we can have there. We're already talking to the Public Arts Commission about some of the quarterly art exhibits that they've had at the library, bringing that artwork into the amphitheater, being able to enjoy it for more than just a couple of days. And so I think that's been really good. We've been talking to Rick Travis about that from our Public Arts Commission, exploring additional revenue streams through corporate events. That's still, I think, where I'm trying to get into the LA, kind of San Diego County markets. Build on the success of those multi-week event series. Like I said, continuing to find ways where we can do weekly programming that is free to our residents to enjoy in that beautiful amphitheater. And the views that you get from the beautiful time of year that we have for the weather, for yoga, and it's a great experience. And I saw all of you at multiple Tastes and Sounds, and it was cool to be able to hang with you guys and enjoy some good music. So we'll continue to do that. Focus on securing early commitments for 2025, being more proactive. Now that I'm a little bit more comfortable in the role, have Adam now on the events coordinator side, the amount of research and development that we're able to use to be able to find events. We can advertise ourselves. We don't need to wait for people to come to us, and that's kind of what this program is really meant to do. So with that, just really, really excited about the momentum and through your all's vision of the amphitheater and what this could be for our community. It's presented for information only. Obviously, always take your guidance and direction, and I'm here for any questions that you have.
Council members, do we have any questions? No speakers have clicked the button, so
Yeah, I do have a question.
great.
Ryan, is this year, are you going to have different type of food vendors? Because last year, I believe we had the same food vendor.
I think we had 4 or 5 different. So we had one that repeated twice, Smoky Lips Barbecue in Cathedral City, and I think Meester Zebra came back a second time because we had an inclement weather event. They were canceled, and so we invited them away. But we hope to have 8 unique food vendors this year. I think with the interest and people now wanting to be a part of this, I think I'm pretty confident we'll be able to have 8 different food vendors for the series.
Okay. And now, what is the cost for someone to actually rent the amphitheater, all the lighting, and also the sound system for us to operate?
Sure. The rates for our agreement with Mercado Technological Solutions, I'd have to look at the specifics. They're on our website right now, so I can get you that information. He's got hourly wages based on how many employees and staffing needs that he has and everything through that. I've vetted it through a number of my buddies who do that for a living in LA, and I think they think that we're offering a pretty good deal. So just through word of mouth and kind of talking to some people that have done that. But the actual rental costs for the venue itself are $5,000 for profit and $2,500 nonprofit. And then if they want to set up for an entire day in advance, it's half that. So it'd be $1,250 for setup for a nonprofit who wanted to get in there the day before, and it would be $2,500 for a for-profit if they wanted to. Let's say they had a Saturday and Sunday event and they wanted to set up all day Friday. That's still staff resources and expenditures on our end. So we would want to recover some of those costs.
And during the Taste and Sounds of Cathedral City, the event was absolutely incredible.
Thank you,
But
Councilmember.
just if you can remember to make sure to adjust the times, the starting times.
Yeah,
When the time zone changes.
Absolutely. We've already put that into motion. You'll be seeing that soon in some of our promotional materials. So we made adjustments based on when the sun goes down and, loud and clear. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
So I just had just a comment and a little inquiry, but thank you so much for this presentation. And you've done just an amazing job.
Thank you,
It's great.
Councilmember.
As far as the using the amphitheater for arts,
Yes.
so I know that we are frequent flyers at the La Quinta Arts Festival,
Yep.
now celebration, and as a festival, it used to be a foundation had kind of purview, an overview of that and presented that. Now it's a company. So are you looking forward to a company to take that part of it and to consolidate artists, whether they're in Cathedral City or outside of Cathedral City, to use the amphitheater, or to local, or both?
But both. I mean,
Both, okay. I
it
just
runs
didn't-
the gamut on
Okay.
our approach there for sure. I think also reminding some of our agencies and partner organizations, when you all kind of orchestrated the amphitheater, like Palm Springs Unified School District does have significant discounts and even free, exchanges that they can have for the students
Right.
to be able to utilize that.
Okay.
But the minds that are now currently in our Public Arts Commission, the ideas that are generating from them and that group, I'm really excited about the connections, and I hope to have something that is amphitheater adjacent that we can talk about with Desert X and some cool things that are
okay,
happening. So
okay.
arts and culture is definitely high up on the list for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a priority for sure, and I Yeah, so it's a little bit of it's kind of a two-way dialogue. A huge part of that responsibility is us to make sure that these local vendors know about these opportunities. So working with Eric and his ED team, Stone before him, to get lists and email lists that they know about events that are happening that they can participate in. Taste and Sounds was, I think, our first real inroads to being able to make that happen on a repeated basis, and I want to feed off of that momentum. I think getting our third-party event organizers, and as we are now up for RFP here soon for all of our events that are now up for renewal, that's going to be worked into the language to be able to make sure that they have a percentage of Cathedral City businesses, and we're going to try really hard, because I think the stuff that we're running from just city resources and staff, I think we're getting a good connectivity of local businesses. I'm not seeing that as much from our key signature events that are third-party operated. So I've talked to Sound Skills about it for Taste of Jalisco. I'm hopeful and optimistic there. I think we could have done better with Balloon Festival this year to provide some more local food trucks. So. We do not.
Yeah, there was an agreement for at one time, but it was sort of a mutual agreement that there was no benefit to us or to them.
It was a supply chain issue related to COVID. They weren't able to keep their end of the agreement to be able to supply Pepsi products to these vendors. And so it was becoming an issue where they had to go out and purchase the product themselves, show receipts. It just became cumbersome. That both sides agreed mutually, working with Eric and our legal team, that it was not going to work out. Yeah.
One last question. Merry picture. Have they been participating in all the events?
100%. They were our concessionaire operator during the Leanne Rhymes event and the concert, so I think they did really, really well there. We gave them the new kind of LED lighting, and I still want to talk to him, Ted, a little bit more about how we can promote that and sponsor it a little bit more. But yeah, they're incredibly involved. They do the free movie with Halloween Spooktacular with us every year, and so Ted and I talk probably once or twice a week.
They got a prime location. You got the restrooms right there.
Absolutely.
They're really set fun. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you so much, Mayor. So excellent job. You did a good job of outlining, and I think we've all seen the increase and heard from our constituents how much people are enjoying being able to come and use this facility in Cathedral City. I think you're hitting it right on the head. There's still a lot of space to go as far as how it can become just part of the fabric. But you've really done a good job of getting the start. I know this is about the marketing. So only thing I would add is that we need to, if we're going to hit our local residents, I know we do a lot already, so it's not like it's a secret. It's in the book, it's in the websites. It's if you sign up to get the emails, then usually they're there or they're on Facebook or other social media. If you are doing signage, I would continue to encourage signage in the parks. And of course, I spend a lot of time, but I know a lot of other people do in the dog park. I think that you put a sign up there for Taste and Sounds outside the Panorama Dog Park. There's a lot of people that sit around there with nothing to do. So I know there were people that actually went to those events when they saw them. They forget, and then they would see it there again, and they would tell me, oh, yeah, I came because I saw it on the sign. There have been other events that we haven't done that over there. I know we're going to have more dog parks and Dream Homes and eventually down here. So I just want to bring that up is don't forget to post in the dog parks because there are a lot of people that go there, and not just from our city, although they are kind of intended for city residents primarily, but there are people from other areas that use the dog park. So
100%, Mayor Pro Tem. I think it's a great reminder. We can certainly work in a little bit more strategically. We did it for Spectacular and Balloon Festival, but you and I have talked about that too. It's a great opportunity, so we'll continue to build that into each budget for the events. And Taste and Sounds, I think we got there a little late last year. We got them out like maybe a couple weeks before. I'd like to do that for about a month leading up to it as well. So we have, I think, 5 park locations that we do.
Yeah, that was great. I know in Panorama, it typically, like Spooktacular, it got posted as was traditional, which is over on the baseball diamond, which isn't bad because that's where the parking lot is, but there was nothing on the other side of the park.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say you need to spend a fortune on signage, but that would have been another good opportunity. And we even had that same day at the dog event
That's
there,
true.
but there was no signage for our next day event there. And so a lot of people I was mentioning it to, and then they would say, "Oh, I didn't know it was coming." So those are the types of times I say, "Oh yeah, we really need to get in the habit of when we, even if it's not a huge banner or something, but getting in the habit of that being one of the places that we post."
More within our budget to make that happen, and we'll make sure we hit the dog parks too. So I'm excited about the future. And as I've talked to you, it's a community hub, and that's where people are talking and where they're planning their weekends and what they're going to do for the week. So we can do multiple signs, and one definitely strategically positioned the dog park. I think that's great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just have one question.
Sure.
It's if everything's going online now, and this is bigger than, getting a permit for something, right? This is big. How are we backing it up to make sure we don't lose something, that we don't have a crash and we lose all this information? And for big vendors and...
Yeah, 100%. I think all of these are, saved on kind of our user accounts and digitally stored. The InterGov process, I'm not quite as, hands-on with that. Adam went through the training, so we can no, okay. But we can certainly make sure that we're cataloging all of that. And we still have things that have to be sent digitally through email, PDFs, and they're going to have to send site plans that are probably too big of a file to be able to upload. And so we're going to still be able to make sure we keep really good archives of everything that we do. So this is just to make it a little bit more efficient for both sides to be able to. I just felt like there were a lot of things through just the paper documents that were slipping through the cracks and becoming harder and harder for us as staff to be able to make sure that we're checking our goals. And so this, allows us to create a workflow. So if I know police need to be involved and I have to send it to, Andy Diaz and whoever is in charge of the, events operation for that week, I can get him to sign off quickly and I can send it to the fire marshal. So this just allows a little bit more just direct contact. But your point is great. We'll need to definitely make sure we back up all that information.
I'm sure you already do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, to Ryan's point, this is another aspect of EnerGov implementation. So this is all done through the same portal that's doing permitting and licensing. And so it's the permit application is submitted through that. And so the system is maintaining all of that data and information. And it's everything is backed up through the city's network and the city's servers.
You just should have said that.
I know I should have deferred to Ann. I felt like Ann was going to help me out on that one anyway, so I appreciate the assist, but thank you all. I appreciate it.
And thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I do not have any request to speak forms for this item, but if you are a member of the public and you wish to provide public...
Oh, we lost you.
I know the mics are really funky today.
Mm-mm. I mean, I can kind of hear you, but...
For this item, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand. Shelley?
Good afternoon, Mr. Kaplan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wasn't planning on speaking on this, but we were at the Leanne Rimes concert at the Balloon Festival, and I have to say, although I'm not taking personal credit for it, I certainly was involved, that we have the best amphitheater in the valley.
Absolutely true. Thank you so much. No argument there. I'm just repeating what he's saying over here because I don't know if he's got a microphone. I'm going to jump back to what was my A, but is really now a B. And we're going to cover Code Compliance Division updates.
Thank you, Mayor. Justin Gardner, our Code Compliance Manager, is here, and he will present this. He provided an update about 6 months ago and was asked to come back and keep you informed about what they're doing, and as the types of cases they get change, to keep you informed on that. So Justin is here to provide that update tonight. Justin.
Is it on? Hello. Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and Charlie. It's been about 6 months since I got to come up here and give you guys an update, and I'm glad I'm still here to give you another one. And thanks for making the change for me. I was on my way back from Barstow, and we wanted to pad that just in case we didn't make it back quite in time. So thanks for letting Ryan go first. Just kind of an update on our team here. We are down one code enforcement officer. That would be Officer Talon Weinman, who is currently our acting code analyst. He backfilled the position that was vacated by Victor Gomez, who decided to abandon us and go to the city manager's office and help out with economic development. That's right. We still love him and appreciate his work. And we still lean on him quite frequently for our STVR training and things of that nature. But that's kind of a snapshot with our two newest code officers, who I'm sure you've seen around, Officer Jose Mendez and Parker Gaunt, who both, by the end of this month, their fates will be decided on whether or not they are going to remain with the city. They are approaching their probationary period. And I'm thinking, if they're watching, they're going to make it just fine. So some professional and personal milestones. One huge shout out that I want to make sure gets recognized, especially because today is her birthday. Officer Sandra Martinez, happy birthday Sandra, has passed all 3 modulars of the Certified Code Enforcement Officer training with the California Association of Code Enforcement Officers. So she has just earned her CCEO status, which is a coveted status that is sought by code officers throughout our state. We are the first state to have this professional designation for code enforcement officers. It does require at least 12 months acting on the job as a code officer and then successful completion of 3 modular academies. And Sandra has just passed her advanced modular academy and has been granted her CCEO status, which is fantastic. So Round of applause for Officer Martinez. Officer Joseph Fox has stepped up in his new role as a code enforcement officer too. He has promoted recently, and in that promotion, I put a little bit more pressure on him to develop more products, and he has actually produced the Cathedral City Parking Citation Guide exclusive to code enforcement. This is a standard of operating procedure and vehicular compliance in regards to 72-hour parking and how to write citations, post citations. We've updated our policies and procedures internally to code on how we track that with date timestamps, photographs of the violation to help in case any of those are appealed. Also would like to take a moment to point out that two of the officers and our administrative assistant are currently working on higher education. Officer Talon Weinman's just a few classes shy of earning his bachelor's degree. And Officer Fox and Annika Sanchez, our admin assistant, have just wrapped up their very first college courses in an associate's degree in code and compliance. So congratulations to them as well. Here's another snapshot. 6 months ago, we brought this to you. This was the brand new standard of operating procedure and flow chart that we've initiated here at our division. We are still using this, and it has been very successful. Just kind of wanted to bring this back up as a reminder. And this is why it has been successful. So reports from the summer of 2023 showed a caseload of about 1,500 cases when I started. We are down to now less than 900. The code compliance case total has been dropping on average about 26 cases per month since January of 23. The current caseload is 857 open code compliance cases, down from almost 1,500 a little over a year ago. I'd like to point out that out of that 857, about 40 were just recently opened last week in regards to shopping cart impoundments. So 40 of those cases should drop off here in the next couple days if they so choose to come get their carts back from us. So we're really actual operable code cases. We're down to about 815 to 817 today. Code compliance officers now are averaging about 140 cases assigned each, and this is down dramatically from over 200 cases plus. It's kind of a snapshot of that. Improvements to officer training and response times have allowed us to have a greater community presence, increase proactivity, and expand our compliance efforts into new areas while regularly maintaining a greater case closure rate on our caseload. So you can kind of see that downward turn there, still trending downward from 2023. And a lot of that has to do with implementing that process a few slides ago. Prior to my arrival here, we didn't have that process. Cases weren't being worked toward completion the same way every time with every officer. So we had a lot of that kind of low-hanging fruit just hanging out there, and with showing them how to pluck those low-hanging fruits, now it's kind of gone down and continues to trend to go down. So, kind of a snapshot of how code cases are received and where we're getting them from. We have about a almost 50-50 split from website reporting versus the app. We do get about 15% of phone calls, and the other 5% are through wave downs while we're out and about doing our job or being proactive in the city, or people coming into City Hall and reporting verbally to us at the front desk. Of the more than 750 cases opened this year, 58% were opened after request from a citizen or outside source, meaning the police or fire department or other city employees. About 31% were opened by code compliance during their execution of duties, which is great. We're edging closer and closer to almost a 50-50 split between citizen opened or initiated complaints versus proactive code cases being opened from code officers being out there. Also responding to stuff that they see in the field, whether they see vendors currently operating, or with this downward trend in these new SOPs and edging our self-initiated cases upward, it's also opened up more time to be more proactive in other areas like our shopping cart impoundments, which we'll get to a little bit later. Here's our new reporting statistics. We can kind of do year by year to show from the last update that we gave in 2020, or about 6 months ago, versus now. Code compliance issues are still number one. These is kind of our catch-all kind of our catch-all case types that aren't specifically outlined. So construction without a permit, green pools, things of that nature are kind of all lumped up into code compliance. Landscape was still number 2, and public in-ops is still number 3. Essentially, they were edged out by cannabis odor because we've had a huge increase over the last several months in cannabis odor complaints. But essentially, the cannabis odor just shifted everything else down. But historically, we're still averaging about the same as far as what the top 5 are priority-wise within the city. Over the course of 2024 to date, we have seen a reduction of about 12 fewer requests per month against 2023's average. This trend appears set to continue, netting an overall reduction in the number of incoming reports per year going into 2025 at the current rate that we're seeing. With our new standards of operating procedure and a greater focus on education rather than enforcement, we have seen a reduction in the amount of citations needing to be issued. Our approach of talking, informing, and educating the public is showing a greater voluntary response to compliance than in previous years. So historic data from this shows that reaching out to the citizens, educating them, explaining to them what the ordinance are, that these municipal codes and ordinances exist and how to comply with them, we've seen a much greater resolution rate in cases and response from the citizen opposed to cite into compliance. However, for 2024, here's kind of our statistics. We've actually already collected just under $59,000 in fines. We still have about $108,000 still owed, and there are methods there for us to collect on this about $108,000 through the Franchise Tax Board or through other assessments levied against the violators. Cannabis compliance, this is the most common complaint that we're getting right now. Second most common under code compliance is cannabis odor. We do currently have a municipal code covering cannabis odor in 13.90.240. The city is collecting complaint data, cross-referencing it with maps of known cultivation sites and trying to determine which areas are higher priority for compliance inspections. With Officer Weinman now transitioning over to our acting analyst, he has about an 80-20 split with 80% of his daily duties solely dedicated to cannabis reports, data collection, extrapolating that data and putting it into something readable and usable. We have had an overwhelming increase in cannabis reports to our My Cathedral City app. So what we're doing now is we're actually tracking it in a completely separate method to alleviate that strain on our reporting app. Citizens are getting an automated response back that says resolution. We've tried to detail to them that we understand this has not been resolved, but there's some language in the emails that Talon's putting in there saying that we're tracking it in a completely different system because it is kind of overwhelming the system. But through that, we've collected a lot of data, and we have some reports going up to the city manager's desk. So we are growing our cannabis compliance program, just like we kind of grew our vendor enforcement program. To best combat cannabis violations, code enforcement is expanding its involvement with attendance to both local and regional industry summits. By meeting directly with business owners and industry leaders, as well as our growing understanding of the industry at large and keeping up with its latest innovations, we are preparing our enforcement team for regular, proactive, and random inspections of cannabis facilities throughout the city. We screen upcoming events and determine which would provide the most education and information value to our programs, two of which we've sent representatives to is the CVCAN, the Coachella Valley Cannabis Alliance Network, as well as the SoCal Cannabis Innovations in Los Angeles. Both were really good networking events where we got to meet representatives from the Department of Cannabis Control, the state organization who controls cannabis stuff. We've met operators both on the business side and through other cities, and we've been able to network and look at best practices that maybe other cities are implementing in regards to all things cannabis and cannabis enforcement, up to and including today, like I had mentioned, literally just got back from visiting with the city of Barstow and looking at over their ordinance and enforcement stuff in cannabis as well. Code compliance for mobile home parks. Some of that other 20% that Officer Weinman is doing in his analyst duties, about 10% of that is going to be mobile home parks, in particular to Title 25, Chapter 2 and 2.2, which gives us, code enforcement, the ability to operate within the parks and enforce what we can. Title 25 is very complicated and only allows for certain enforcement action, but code compliance may address community safety complaints, including electrical, gas, plumbing, fire protection requirements, may address the installation of units where it pertains to separation and setback requirements or the construction of permanent buildings within the park. And code may enforce regulations on accessory structures and fencing, including cabanas, patios, storage structures, and vehicle parking. And we've also partnered with, and it's been invaluable, all of the support that our chief building official, Jeremy, has given us in this as well. So we've partnered with Jeremy and his building inspectors, and we're starting to have more of a presence in our local mobile home parks. So I spoke about it a little bit earlier, but shopping carts and illegal vending. There has been a recorded 69 shopping cart impoundment cases. Now, what I'd like to point out is that does not mean we've only collected 69 shopping carts. If we've gone to a nest, if you will, of several carts, say from Walmart, we collect all of those in one impoundment case. So there's sometimes in this 4, 5, 6 carts all in one impoundment case. So the number of carts that we've actually physically taken off of our city streets and lugged over to the boneyard and secured them is far more than 69 carts. We've done 3 now successful cart impoundment roundups. We've even drug our director out there with us to get his hands dirty so he can prove to the junior staff he still works. And it's been incredibly successful. We go out there with the trailer, we have the flashing yellow lights on. It's a very visible scene thing that we're doing, and the junior staff really like doing it. It breaks up the monotony a little bit, and they get instant resolution to visual blight. It's an instant thing that the shopping cart was there, and then I drove away with it, and the shopping cart is now gone. And we've been successful in rattling that cage with some of our larger industries who have lots and lots of these carts, and we've reminded them that our city does require a cart containment plan. And so this is kind of reminding them that they need to do a little better at making sure those carts don't leave their facilities. So it's been a successful run, and we've seen a big reduction in the shopping carts. And then illegal vending cases. Street vendor responses have increased dramatically, almost immediately, if we're able. From the moment a report is received, we dispatch an officer immediately out there to educate that vendor, as well as conduct impoundment of dangerous food items if need be. Most of the time we do give them or afford them the opportunity to pack up and leave. Over 80% of vendor reports this year originated prior to July 2024, so we've seen a dramatic decrease in illegal vending within the city. We are still right involved with vacation rentals. I actually found my first illegal one posted online just last week, and I was very happy and proud of that, and I ran it over to Victor, and I said, is this good? So we'll see. Appeal pending, right? But we are still actively hunting down illicit vacation rentals online as well through other sources. We've had some pretty fantastic training provided from us through Covert Media Solutions, as well as the California Association of Code Officers, specific to short-term vacation rental enforcement and discovery. And we are exploring new things such as artificial intelligence and how it can be utilized to assist us in this. And the key point of this slide, is I'm incredibly excited to announce that the city of Cathedral City is the very first city, the very first jurisdiction to ever partner with Deckard Technologies, who is the industry leader in STVR enforcement and finding. We guinea pigged one of their newest forms. It's a digital form for inspections. They reached out to us and said, would you be willing to help us develop this so we can send it out to every other jurisdiction that we work with throughout the country? We said, absolutely, we'd love to. So we were the first test runners of this program. We helped them sharpen it up. It's now been approved. They've had some testimonials come from myself as well as staff. that they're highlighting, and they're really drumming up Cathedral City as a tip of the spear in regards to STVRs and inspections, and they're pushing this new digital form out to the rest of their customers throughout the country. So it's essentially brought us to the now, which is what our customers expect, and it has basically allowed code officers to do their STVR inspections much more quickly in the field with a digital record that goes directly to Deckard Technologies. Just talking about AI and new technologies and the now, I did recently attend the annual code conference in Long Beach, California, and had an opportunity to meet with and talk to representatives from City Detect. This is not something that we are currently using, but it is something that we are incredibly interested in. Generative AI, or artificial intelligence, is here, and it's growing rapidly, and it's here to stay. But they are the first organization to have an AI technology specific to code compliance. The city of Stockton was kind of their first forum. They were the tip of the spear for City Detect, if you will. They came out to the conference and spoke to everybody about the use and how it's been a force multiplier for them in Stockton. Through meeting with one of their sales reps, I discovered that actually they're now in contract with Desert Hot Springs, is going to be one of their next clients. I've asked them to come down here to the city to collect some data and to prepare something as well, free of charge. They're going to do that for us so we can see exactly what this could do for us, opposed to most other sales pitches are, well, look what it did for city X or Y or Z. They're actually going to come down here as a favor and collect some data for us to show us exactly how we could possibly utilize this in the future. Obviously, this is all going to be very governed through policy, procedure, and everything does come with a cost. So we're going to look at other monetary things there, grants or other funding sources to possibly explore this later on. As well as drone technology, there was a very fantastic drone class put on by a company called Vecture, as well as some presenters from the county of Riverside who are really leading the path with drone usage specific to code compliance. They have a wonderful standard of operating procedure that they've developed and had it blessed off on by their county council, as well as 2 boutique law firms. They've opened that up for all jurisdictions to basically copy and paste if they wish. And they put on a wonderful drone class about the technologies that are available through it and how it can assist and what they can do and the cost savings that they're actually getting through using drones in the public right-of-way. Again, something that we're not currently using, something we do have interest in, but again, will be very controlled through policy and procedure. Through that, though, some technologies we are currently using is we do have 2 mobile printers actually being tested in the field right now by 2 of the code staff. With our report writing systems and the things that we do currently have, we have that ability. And so I have 2 officers currently right now piloting that to see if it's going to be useful for all of the code staff to have, and we can outfit the other several code officers that we have with those printers. But as of right now, we are getting feedback that it is helping them in the field to issue citations, education, and other notices. Just some befores and afters of some of the good work that the code officers have been out there doing. Obviously, this is a landscape violation. Through contact with the property owner and educating them on the municipal code and what the requirements were, they went ahead and made those adjustments to reach compliance. Had some illegal dumping at one of our commercial corridors. After speaking with the responsible party of that property, they sent out a crew and cleaned it. Another landscaping issue here. Had them plant some new grass seed, and it's coming in quite well. And then another update of landscaping. Again, landscaping, besides that catch-all of code enforcement, code compliance issues, landscaping was number 2 throughout the year. Here's a pool that we discovered after talking with the property owner. This one took a little bit more of encouragement, some elevated enforcement to get it to that compliance level, but ultimately they did clean the property up, more so than just the pool, but we did want to highlight that of the before and after of what they were able to accomplish. Future goals for code compliance in the year of 2025, coming much more quickly than I anticipated. Not ready for the holidays quite yet, but some of the goals that we have for next year is recruitment of a full-time analyst, not necessarily a code compliance analyst, but we're looking at broadening that scope there for the entire department, not just specifically our division, because we feel that they could benefit from helping out the building department, the planning department as well. Further improvements to the business license enforcement and fee schedule. We'd like to become more proactive in business license enforcement, doing spot checks and working with our finance department. They have already in the last several months started to give us more, hey, can you go check out these folks? Hey, we haven't gotten payment from these folks in a while. Are they even in business? And we would like to get a little bit more proactive in that. So that is one of the goals for 2025, as well as looking at that fee schedule for updates. I'd like to organize community cleanups. We did this quite a bit when I was still with the County of Riverside, where throughout the year we would identify a particular neighborhood. We'd come out with big trash bins. We'd partner with the local waste management company. And then we'd bring out stakeholder agencies and almost do a community day where you could come down and look for resources that you might need, whether that be through animal control, Department of Social Services, the police department, the fire department, kind of everybody out there for a day. And we would collect tires, we would collect electronic waste, we would collect hazardous household material and general refuse, free of charge for those community members. And that would be something that is in our goal for the 2025, is to get out there and help those who need help. Continue the expansion of training and training opportunities for officers. We've done that throughout the year, and I think that it's showing in the work that they're able to do, that they become more professional in their day-to-days, and they're learning and growing on how to become code officers, successful code officers at that, and then I think that's clearly evident through our downward trend. And then we need updates to the municipal code, in particular to the code enforcement section. There is some language in there that could use some cleaning up, some updating. And then also, not on this slide, because it was just something that maybe a day or two ago we started kind of discussing, kind of one of those aha moments while I was out with one of my staff members in the field. And we've started to pitch the idea, and I've met with Andy, I've met with Ryan, I've met with Eric, our economic development manager, to kind of pitch this idea, and we're going to start rolling with it, and hopefully we can bring it out in 2025 as well, but a pride and ownership program where we open up our reporting system to not only take in complaints of those icky neighbors, but be able to highlight those wonderful neighbors that are setting the standard that others should emulate, and have an ability to submit that photo of that home that looks like it could be on Better Homes and Gardens. Maybe get them a yard sign to put into their yard, and then also partner with local businesses and Eric with maybe some kind of discounts or something with local businesses and food places to reward them for setting that standard and highlighting them and building a program for that. And otherwise, questions and discussion.
Thank you so much. Council members, Mayor Pro Tem, questions?
I thought you were waiting for Councilmember Lamb. Well, thank you for that presentation. First, I want to say congratulations on getting rid or taking care of the issue of illegal offenders. As you mentioned, there's very few, far in between now. As a matter of fact, I called in, and two of them, a resident called in on one. I reported to Charlie, and it was immediately taken care of. I reported another one, an illegal food vendor, and within half an hour, they were gone. So you are doing your job, and it is working. So congratulations on that, and it is working. Now, I've talked to our city manager in the past that what I want to do is to make sure that we have a code enforcement officer designated to each district, and that code enforcement officer to be in contact, direct contact also with the needs or wants of that particular council member for that district, to make sure that that district is more likely to beautify and take care of any code enforcement issues. So I want to make sure that we start implementing that in the next year as well. And can you tell me how much time your code enforcement division spends in cannabis issues?
I don't have those numbers currently.
Is it 10%, 15%? What percentage is it, just approximately?
So cannabis issues is broad. Are we talking dispensaries, solely odor complaints, inspections of cultivation, inspections of dispensaries? There's a lot to do in cannabis. We've progressed our cannabis program. We've developed new check sheets, digital check sheets that all of the officers now have on their iPads to start doing more proactive enforcement with all of the industry, whether it be extraction, cultivation, or sales, manufacturing. But we don't have a dedicated percentage to that yet. It's just as they come in, and then as we go through the year, we do spot checks and make sure that it's kind of a pass or not pass, especially for dispensaries. So if we show up unannounced and all of the employees don't have their badges as they're supposed to through state law, then, hey, you did not pass, here's your citation. And those happen sporadically throughout the year.
Cultivation, do you do inspections on cultivators?
Yes, we do inspections on all cannabis stuff, but there's no real set percentage of time at this point. However, with our analysts now and with the elevation of complaints, right, because we are responsive to the community. So if landscaping was number 2, we're going to spend more time addressing the landscaping concerns of the community. Now that cannabis odor has elevated to number 2, we adjust focus, and now we're going to respond more to that.
Now, if you can keep in mind, coming up this year, we're going to be talking about council city goals. And if you can keep in mind, what do you need to make your department, you have a very difficult job. And it's a tough job, but it's a very respected job, you can say, because a lot of people appreciate what you do, and some of them don't, the ones that commit all these code enforcement issues. But what I want to do is code enforcement, the amount of code enforcement officers is much less per number than in many other cities, Palm Desert, Palm Springs, and many other cities. We need to increase the number. We need to make sure that your department, your division, is much more efficient, and we cannot ask you to do things without giving you the tools, providing you tools. The tools is you need more manpower, and you need to know how to utilize them and give them the tools that they need, whether it's technology or what is it. Because, for instance, you are doing a lot of work. But if I take you around my neighborhood, just like I did, I took our city manager and our assistant city manager throughout just a small part of my district, we could have written 500 citations in one day, easily. Okay? And that was only my district. So the violations are there. We just need to come up with a way to help you take care of these issues. Many residents do not report the issues that we do have, but they do exist. So I just want to make sure that I don't sound like I'm trying to pick on you, but I want to make sure that you have the tools and the people, the amount of people necessary to do your job. For instance, your division took on cannabis. Okay, there was all the money that the city is getting from cannabis, all that revenue, zero is being spent in adding additional code enforcement officers. We have the same amount of code enforcement officers before cannabis. So we need to increase that number because we increased that job, so we need to make sure that we increase the number to take care of all the other issues. Otherwise, we're lacking behind in everything else. So keep that in mind for the following year, what I'm going to be working on, and I want to work with you. I don't want to work against you. Okay, because I am going to get a little bit more active in code enforcement issues. So I want to make sure that you don't take it as a surprise. Our residents deserve better. You deserve to have the tools necessary to do the job.
Thank you.
Okay? And one more thing. When someone reports a GOR request issue, we continue to get case closed. Is there any way possible we can change that to, instead of case closed, active, to just say case active and notify them once the case is truly closed?
So we're talking in specific to these complaints that are coming in that there's no resolution, like the
Correct.
odor ones, correct? Unfortunately, with the system, the short answer is no. If we close a request, it auto-generates the same email for regardless of the case type, and they don't have the system, at GoGov, they don't have the system to differentiate. If the case is resolved, if we click as closed resolved, it sends it off. The reason that we're doing that, as I mentioned earlier, is just at some points, we get 50 to 60 plus a day, and it just completely wipes out our system. So we close them, but we're still tracking them. And so we've done a new separate memorandum that's going to be sent directly to the reporting party. We've also included language in the reason closed, explaining we understand that the resolution has not been met, but we are working on this, and this is why you're receiving this email. So we're trying to be as communicative as possible with those reporting parties and explaining to them why, but being able to change that subject line to say something different other than resolved, at this time we can't change that.
Now, Go Request, we pay membership to utilize that application, correct?
Yes.
Now, what would be the cost to come up with our own application to tailor it to what we need?
We don't have that kind of technology to do it in-house. We're talking, there are multiple companies out there that this is what they do for that's their entire company. So, I mean, it's a very complicated system that works in layers with the GIS, and I think it's far beyond what our capabilities are in-house.
Yeah, but if we can contract with them and purchase that particular program and tailor it to our use, to our city.
It has been. So our GoGov account has been tailored to our needs. So we can change things on the back end, we can add users, we can, now with the new update that anytime we do elevated enforcement or certain actions are taken in a case, automatic emails are being sent out to the reporting party that, hey, an initial inspection has been done, a code case is recognized, as significant milestones are met, automated emails are sent out. But this resolved is one of those automated emails, but right now they don't have the technology or ability to say, hey, only this type, we're going to change the automation. It's kind of across the board.
I just would like to actually have something that states your case is active and is being worked on instead of your case is closed.
Right.
Because a lot of people do get that mixed message.
Okay. So we have those if they still are actually, if we keep it in an open status in our system, it'll say it's open. But the reason we're closing them is because the system is being overwhelmed with them. So we're trying to work around that so we don't get bogged down or other code complaints and code issues that are coming in don't get kind of dropped or we missed the ball on that because we're just getting inundated with odor complaints. So the only reason those are getting closed to begin with is because we're now have a completely separate tracking mechanism specifically to those. We don't have an ability to report directly to that second tracking mechanism, so we're still utilizing GoGov to receive the data, and then we're moving it over. So that's why that email gets sent out. But to attempt to help them understand is we are sending follow-on to the complaints. We have a special email template, special memorandum, and then language in the reason close that we're trying to share with them.
Well, thank you. I'll be trying to work with you later on because I want to make sure that we take better care of our city and beautify our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, I do know we have one person in the public, but there may be more.
We do have a member of the public that would like to speak.
Can't hear you.
My mic is not working.
Can you grab the one from the middle? Sorry.
Can you hear me on this one?
Nope. Why don't I take this one for you and you can get the next one? So this is the time for public comment. If you have something you want to say, you can fill out a form, or when you're done, raise your hand. We do have one person in the queue now, David Sanchez. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. If you get the microphone close to where we can hear you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Ernesto, for what you said. You live in my neighborhood, so you see all the trash being... Sorry. So you live in my neighborhood, around my neighborhood, and you see all the trash being dumped around, and I see this code enforcement, and I apologize ahead of time, but they just drive around. They're not doing their job. I'm sick and tired of that, and I think I said that before. I mean, like Mr. Nicolino over here, he lives in a nice gated community. He doesn't see that until he drives in our regular streets. I mean, it just gets tiring, and paying taxes to the city, and your city's not doing nothing about it, it's frustrating. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Also, the other thing I wanted to say, the thing that you guys put on Ramon Road, yeah, this is out of the topic, but I mean, I don't know if it's working or not, but the other day there's this guy that just went around the thing right there by U-Haul. I literally missed him by about 2-3 feet. I mean, I don't know if it's working. Also about the police officers, and I'm sorry, I mean, that's probably you, right? Last week, I think it was, I saw Cathedral City cops or motorcycle cops and also the sheriffs. They were actually, how would you say it? They were hiding behind cars and they were ticketing a lot of people. I know they drive fast, but people are trying to get to work. Instead of patrolling and letting them know that they're in the area and tell them to come down, they're just entrapping people and giving them tickets. And I don't know if you agree with that. I mean, I know it's more revenue to the city, but a lot of people, they're workers. I didn't get a ticket, but the thing is, I mean, a lot of people, I know they're a little late for work, and they're just running to work, and I see a lot of officers are hiding and entrapping people, so they're getting tickets. That was my other issue. What was I going to say? I forget, but maybe next meeting. Oh yeah, the other thing is, I said before, I would like no more gates in front of the houses in the Cathedral City area. It's making the city look really bad. It looks like there's no security around. Like this gentleman said here earlier about giving these people about the Home and Garden Award or whatever. It's not working when you're putting these gates around their houses. I mean, you have cameras, you have alarms, so I post all that. There's a few things that they need to be done, and I'm sure you will discuss about it. Like I said, I was just giving up in the city. Really, I was, until I got this report today that you guys are going to be talking about code enforcement, and sorry. My time up?
It is.
Okay. Well, anyways, see you guys next time. You guys have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You have a Merry Christmas also, sir. And I see you taking the lectern for C, the Measure W. Oh, I'm sorry. Alan. Alan Carvalho has his arm up.
Good evening.
Good
Sorry,
evening.
I did
That's
sign,
okay.
but not for this subject. This used to be called code enforcement, which sounds strong. We don't want to be a police state. Okay, now it's called code compliance. We want people to want to help the city, not being forced to. You know, when I was on Rotary, there'd be people that had violations. We helped them. We didn't fine them, right? You remember. And Charlie helped as well. We tried to make this community cooperative, hoping that they don't feel the pressure of the police or code enforcement coming down on them. We have to work with the community. You saw the turnout yesterday. You're seeing the turnout today. People want to make, progress forward, but they don't want to be scared into it. Most of the people we were helping were elderly. They couldn't afford to keep up their yards. We would, clean their yards for them. The city helped us provide storage and trash containers. And we did that because we felt that that's the duty of Rotary, and that's the duty of a community. not being forceful and, oh, you've got to do this and let's fine them and let's produce as many fines as we can. Is that really what we want? No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, we have an additional speaker.
Thank you.
It's Reg Trowell.
Thank you, Mr. Trowell.
Yes, my name is Reg Trowell. I'm a resident at Orps on Ramon Road. I'm sure the issue that I might want to mention in relation to code compliance might be familiar. It has to do with the overwhelming stench coming from the weed plant. And the reason that I'm interested in the code compliance, specifically Councilor Member Gutierrez, if I pronounce it incorrectly, I'm sorry. I was interested in your questions and the responses. Number one, some of the clips that were shown, I understand that code compliance is very busy. In fact, a code compliance officer was out to Orps recently. I'm not sure what he's seen or what he found, but his response to your question on what was done, he used the example of code showed up and, for instance, an employee wasn't doing something or that, there would be a citation issued. This place, Orps, the weed plant there, and I go back to your section 9108080, there's to be no leakage of odor from that plant. On a previous council meeting, I asked, because the Perez thing was given a citation one time, and you can go up to $500 a day, I asked how many citations have been issued against this plant. I've heard nothing in response, but you cannot go into Orps or an immediate area around staters and so on without the stench from this plant. So compliance should be out there, and issuing citations would be my observations. Your intuitive questions about the number of compliance officers not changing hits it right on the nose, I guess. You're very busy, I accept that. But this is terrible, terrible odor, and as the materials that were supplied by myself at one of your planning committee meetings about the health-related potential for this type of thing, notwithstanding, if somebody's not doing their job, your own rule, your own codes say, no, three different sections here. And yet this place is overwhelming our community. And it's not just our communities, Desert Shadows and the housing communities across the street. You go into Staters, you go into any of those businesses, and it's just overwhelming. So where's enforcement on this? We heard it was deferred because they're putting new scrubbers in. That's a lot of malarkey. This odor is seeping, and your own bylaws are saying it shouldn't be. So these guys should be cited, and repeatedly. Perez was 120, and it said it could go up to 500 a day. Where's the compliance? And the answer to the multitude of complaints coming in, how, if I misunderstood, I'll apologize, but it sounds like they're vetted it because they're overwhelming a system. To me, that's telling you that there's something wrong here, and you should be able to be told as a council how many complaints are coming in on this stuff. This is horrendous.
Mr. Trowell, I'm so sorry, your 3 minutes are up.
All right, I will see you at your next council meeting, and I'm going to be asking the same questions. And I hope that the answers are forthcoming. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. City Manager, I'm assuming that you are going to be introducing the Measure W implementation.
Yes, and I think we can go through this fairly quickly, so we should be able to complete it in the time that's left. And if not, we'll finish it at the end of the regular meeting. So, Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to provide an update. Where did it go? Oh, I'm at the back. Okay. Just a little background. The Resident Study Committee met in October 23 through January of 2024. They identified unfunded needs in the city. They're listed there. We've been over this many times. A report was presented to Council on January 24th of 2024. A community survey and resident input was obtained after that through a number of meetings and opportunities. You approved a question to refer to the voters on July 24th of 2024. That was Measure W, the Cathedral City Services measure, which was placed on the November 5th, 2024 ballot. It was approved by the voters with 74% voting yes. It will become effective on April 1st, 2024, with the funds accruing to the city in June, July, and August for those 3 months. There's a 2-month lag in it coming to us, but they will, from an accounting standpoint, accrue back to fiscal year 24-25. And later on your agenda tonight is an item to approve the agreement with the state to collect those taxes for us. So, what are we doing to get going on the things that were promised to the residents of Cathedral City? Joining the Desert Recreation District was one of the first items. Staff is working with our legal and DRD staff and legal on a tax sharing and services agreements. The plan is for those to come before you on January 8th. That's pretty aggressive with the holidays if it slips a week or two, but at one of the January meetings we'll try to get those to you. The Desert Recreation District then will apply to LAFCO, which is the Local Agency Formation Commission, which handles annexations in Riverside County. And the target date to have all this become effective is July 1st of 2025. And that's sort of important because it corresponds to the county taxing year. And so if we can have everything in place, actually we have till like the 1st of August to get the actual materials and agreements to the county so that tax can shift over to them. The services provided will include park maintenance and safety, recreation classes and events, and the operation of the Cathedral City High School pool in the summer months. Community Recreation Center planning. We are going to be recommending to you, probably at one of the meetings coming up in the next couple of months, to conduct a feasibility and location study. What does the size need to be from an operational standpoint? What's necessary in there to make it operate effectively? So we're working on a RFP for expert services to help with that. City staff, community agencies, the Desert Recreation District will all participate in this site selection and site planning process so that we get a facility that works from an operational standpoint, that's located where it's going to be accessible to the majority of our residents easily, considering transportation and other things, where there's parking available, things like that. Funding for this particular planning can come from the Parks and Recreation Development Impact Fee Fund because the community center was listed as one of the projects in that fund. Third is the additional ambulance for the fire department. The purchase of the actual ambulance itself is on your agenda later tonight. It was important to get started on that right away because there's such a long lead time in terms of delivery of that ambulance. The related materials and equipment and supplies are being identified. That will also be one-time purchases. That is not quite as critical and can go through the regular budget process unless there's another item that has a long lead time. Then we'll bring that forward as well. We're working on a staffing plan and a recruitment and selection processes that'll be timed out towards a July 1st, 2025 start date for that service. And again, these lead items, including the one-time equipment fund, can be funded through the taxes that will accrue through that April to June time period, which aren't currently allocated for anything, but will accrue to this fiscal year. Improving neighborhood streets. We will be developing a list of proposed streets for next year and upcoming years, and that will be developed and vetted through your upcoming budget process. So you'll be looking at list of streets to be dealt with through Measure W, through SB1, which we already have, and through the maintenance of effort, which also is an existing category in your budget. So you'll have 3 categories of street improvements to take a look at as we go through the budget. And our plan is to get started on doing those repairs as soon after the start of the fiscal year as possible. It will be guided by the adopted pavement management plan, and there's plenty of streets identified in that plan that need some attention. So we'll get to work on those as approved by you all during the budget process. This aligns with the strategic plan, which was called for developing a funding mechanism to address parks and recreation and other resident priorities. And I think the community agreed with us based on the 74% approval rating for that. So that's our plan. I think it's important for you all to know, for the community to know, that we're going to get going on this stuff and that our intent is to deliver on the promises that were made during that campaign.
Thank you very much, Council. Do we have any questions or comments we'd like to make to the city manager? Yes, Councilmember Carnevale.
Charlie, if we don't use up all this money that's coming in on W, are we going to be able to use it for something else other than just these items that you just brought forward?
Yes, ultimately it's a general fund revenue, so ultimately it's up to the council each year to allocate that through the, or every other year through the budget process. I think it is important to remember the things that were identified by the resident committee and that the promises that were made during the campaign, and that's why I focused on those items.
Okay, because as you know, at the CVAG executive meeting, CVAG's asking for an additional $25,000 for homeless. It'll be $125,000. So if there's some money left over, possibly we can research that.
Yeah, that would be a possible funding source. Your regular general fund budget would also be a source.
I'm sorry?
Pave all our roads and we'll have money left over.
I don't think, maybe we put a little aside, but can we discuss this at goals?
And the budget process will be the perfect place to allocate all of that funding. And it'll be separately identified as you work on the budget, so everybody will be able to see where you're allocating that funding.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other council members? Mayor Pro Tem? Oh, go ahead. No, I was just asking. Who was that? Yes.
Okay, and I just had one clarification, and it talked about here, it says, initially DRD will also employ one staff person in Cathedral City in a location to be determined to coordinate the provision of recreation programs and assist residents in signing up for classes. And I just wanted to say that out loud for the people that are here, because that is so important to have one person, a conduit, to make sure that happens for our families. Thank you.
Thank you. And Council, if you would listen to this and see if you can agree. We do have one more item D, the Facilities Master Plan update, but we are very close to our 5:30 meeting. We have many people waiting for us. Would you object to bumping that to the end of the meeting? And I apologize to the staff person.
Mayor.
No, I understand, but we were nearing the time and I didn't want anybody to kind of freak out.
And I
over
think
that.
there's a speaker on this item.
We have Shelley and Alan, yes.
Mayor, just out of curiosity, if this meeting runs way too late, do you want to still, or can we post that off for the following meeting, the last item?
The master's plan?
Yeah. Or would you want to get that done, Charlie?
No, my recommendation would be move to Facilities Master Plan to the other meeting so that you can get it started on time.
Okay, so
Thank you.
right now, Mr. Kaplan, would you like to speak? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Very pleased to be able to say that, and council members. As you all know, I set up a political action committee to support Measure W, and we're very pleased to have gotten a 74% almost return on that, and yes, for an opportunity for the city to move forward. Needless to say, this was a combined effort from many citizens of Cathedral City to get Measure W passed so the city could more effectively fund the needs of our neighbors and residents. The Political Action Committee members who supported this effort were Sue Townsley, Chip Yarborough, Terry Hargraves, Terry Applegate, Aaron Highland, Rick Salvador, Jeff Corbin, Vic Ide, Danny Lee, Ari Knox, Rocio Conde, and Antonio Beishu. I also wanted to thank the city staff, particularly Ryan Hunt, for all his excellent educational materials provided to residents and his supporting videos, and to Mayor Ross for all her educational meetings, along with representatives from the police and fire department, to explain the impact of the measure and the benefits it can provide to city residents. I want to thank my partners, Alan Carvalho and Doug Schmidt, for all their support, including videos on the measure and yard sign placement. as well as the financial support needed to implement this pact. Also appreciated is the personal financial support from members of the committee and our city council, city staff, and some of our local businesses. And I'm most appreciative of Laura Stern, who handled the design work for the campaign and the social media and website, and who starred in some of those videos, which I hope you enjoyed. Some of them were quite humorous. And finally, a special shout out to Antonio Beishu for all of his work canvassing the neighborhoods and putting out and then taking down the yard signs in support of Measure W. I trust the council will appreciate the added financial support the measure will provide and follow through on all of the plans to effectively use these resources to provide for the needs of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Mr. Carvalho?
Thank you again. I'm going to be very short here. I just wanted you to know that the confidence that the public has with this council is obvious. 74% are wanting to finance all the programs that you see fit to help our neighborhood. So thank you for your support, and let's move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your very kind words. City Clerk, do we have any other speakers?
I do not have any other request to speak forms for this item. If you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand. And I see no hands raised.
Thank you very much. We are going to adjourn this meeting, but would you please give us a 2 to 3 minute, we're old and need to use the restroom break. Well, I don't...